idea to have drummers play in a completely dark room using lighted sticks. And then they have a photographer that comes in and does like a 15-second, a 15-second exposure that then that photograph we put on canvas, and it becomes a beautiful piece of art, or it can potentially. So basically, they asked me if I was interested in the process of just doing this art, and as it happens, Vic Firth had made these light sticks, you know, where you turn. There's a little light in the tip of the stick, right? And so this is something they gave to me like five or 6 years ago. So I didn't ever use them on stage, but I found them to be extremely helpful for practicing. So at home, I'd be practicing, spending a few hours a day, you know, in my little practice room, and then eventually it would get dark out, but it didn't stop me, so I just kept going. And so I end up, I always practice with mirrors because I like to watch the technique. So I put a mirror here, and sometimes I just get these little $10 vanity mirrors, and I can move them around and just check in on my technique and how the motions are going. So I found by practicing with the light sticks in front of the mirror, it was extremely educational, so I could watch the exact motions that my sticks were making, and therefore I could smooth out the motions of the hands, wrists, you know, the elbow, and just the entire approach to playing the drums. And then I started filming myself. I actually got this little video recorder and filmed myself. In fact, there is something I put up in 2010 on YouTube called Steve Smith Practicing at Home, and there's about 5 minutes of me practicing with the light sticks. So this was well before I did this art project, so you can get an idea of what that process was like of playing with the art with the light sticks. So this is, and again, sometimes it was a mystery how they turned out, but this is obviously, this is a Zildjian symbol. There's the underneath of the bell, and the Zildjian logo is right here. So I must have been playing something, and the photographer just came up underneath the symbol, and the vibrations of the symbol and the sticks. I don't remember how that went, but I really like it. You know, so that became a piece. And then this one here is, again, these are the Vic Firth sticks, and you can change the color. So now there's I mean, we could, if you would like it, we could turn the lights down a little bit. You can see this, and that's a practice pad. And
Joey, can you hit the lights in the front?
Yeah, and I was probably doing something like this. Something like of that nature. Okay, you turn the lights on. Is clearly I was playing between the ride cymbal and the snare drum and the hi-hat, and just, I remember it just being kind of a relaxed kind of swinging. All right, let's turn the lights off and try this. Sells out. That's it. You can't get it anymore. An Infinity Knot is sold out. But of course, all of these are available. And then the music that you were listening to, or the drumming that you were listening to earlier, is an album that I just recorded about a month ago. Corey, who's one of the partners at Scene 4, came up with the idea of making like a coffee table book with every piece in the book. And there's a total of 13 pieces. So he wanted to put an LP album in the book of me describing every piece, which I thought was an okay idea. Carl Palmer actually did that, and so he has a book coming out with his art where he described everything, and it's will be on an LP. But I thought that wasn't so interesting for me because I did a lot of writing about each piece. In fact, there's writing, there's a description of under every piece, there's some kind of description of what it's about, how I came up with it, which solo to go with, so I just included both and called it part 1 and part 2. So in the CD, in the record is mastered, and it's 7 tracks on each side, a total of, I think, 23 or 24 minutes a side. So at some point this summer, that will come out, the coffee table book with the LP, and then you can hear the solos. And I described the solos, like there's, I got into a lot of detail because each solo is like a drum set composition thought through. There's some kind of, concept and logic. And each one is somehow related to each piece. So, are there questions? And just a particular pattern over and over, as this one, Interdependence, the one up here. And
I'd like to say this is much, I don't know what to expect when I came here. This is really cool. Really nice. Original and nice. Great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did they ever ask you to incorporate twirling or anything into the
I did some of that, and some of that could be any of these, like this one. I don't know the bat. I don't know how that happened, but I did some things like this. Like one of them, we did just the hi-hat doing this kind of, over and under moves. And then I know I did some of this, so. Some of these moves, which are actually, they're really hard to do when you can't see. So turn the lights, the lights off. That was, so. Is we hear the impacts. We hear the impact of the tip of the stick touching a stick, a drum, or a cymbal. But what you don't hear is the space between the notes. But the space between the notes is just as important because it's what occurs in between each beat. So how do you keep each one of those beats in time? It's like those old metronomes. They have to move the same amount of space to keep that. If you want to keep a steady beat, you have to always fill out the same amount of space. So depending on what you're playing, there's lots of different motions in between that occur in between each impact. And so you can see that, and that's what I consider the fabric of the what it is that you're actually hearing what occurs in between is as important as what you hear. So, to me, like, so, and then the name of my new book, it's called Pathways of Motion, because the entire motion is so important to keeping smooth rhythm. You know, you don't want it to be jagged looking, because in fact it creates a jagged sound and feel. So there's like a smoothness that I aspire to, you know, so things feel right. And then you hear the impacts like spaced out in a way that makes sense.
I have one more question.
While his family gives him strength, Smith's style has been influenced by years of training as a jazz drummer. This versatility and infectious energy make the animal one of a kind.
Nice.
Foley's job does not end with a final downbeat.